There is a moment every man has experienced, even if he has never been able to put words to it. You meet someone incredible. She is warm. She is engaged. She seems genuinely interested in you. You are texting every day. The conversations feel electric, and then slowly, almost invisibly, something shifts. She becomes a little more distant, a little harder to read. And you, doing what most men do, start trying harder. You call more, you become more available. You send longer messages, you bend over backwards trying to fix something you cannot even see, and before you know it, she is gone. No dramatic argument, no clear explanation, just gone. And you are left wondering what you did wrong, replaying every conversation in your head, like a detective searching for evidence of a crime you did not know you committed. If that has ever happened to you, what you are about to hear is going to completely reshape the way you see women, attraction, and yourself. Most men enter relationships operating on a set of assumptions that feel logical on the surface. They assume that love is something you demonstrate through effort, that the harder you try, the more attractive you become, that being available, agreeable, and generous will make a woman feel safe and chosen. These assumptions are not entirely wrong, but they are dangerously incomplete. Because the way women experience attraction is not a simple equation where input equals output. It is a deeply layered emotional and psychological process, one that most men were never taught to understand. And that gap in understanding is where most relationships quietly fall apart. To understand how women truly think about attraction, you have to start at the foundation, and that foundation is safety, not physical safety, but emotional safety. The feeling that a man is grounded, self-assured, and stable regardless of what is happening around him. This is not about being cold or emotionally unavailable. It is about being a man who does not collapse under pressure, who does not need constant reassurance, and who does not make a woman feel responsible for regulating his moods. Psychologists have studied this extensively, and what they consistently find is that emotional stability in a partner is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess. It signals trustworthiness. It signals maturity, and at a deeply instinctive level, it signals that building something with this person is a safe investment. Here is where most men make their first critical mistake. The moment they sense a woman pulling back even slightly, they panic, and that panic, no matter how subtle, sends a signal that completely undermines everything that made the man attractive in the first place. Suddenly, he is texting twice before she has responded once. Suddenly, he is going out of his way to prove his value, asking if everything is okay, over-explaining himself, over-apologizing. And what she receives on her end is not a caring man trying to hold things together. What she receives is evidence that his sense of self depends entirely on her approval. That is not a partner. That is a burden. And no matter how much she may have liked him before that shift, something in her starts to disengage. Women, whether they are consciously aware of it or not, are constantly gathering information about the men they are with, not in a manipulative or calculated way, but in the same way all human beings gather information about the people they are considering trusting with their hearts. They watch how you respond when things do not go your way. They watch whether your mood changes based on how they treat you. They watch how you talk about yourself, how you talk about others, and whether the version of yourself you presented early on is consistent with the version that shows up 3 months in. They are not running tests for the sake of testing. They are looking for answers to a question they may never verbalize out loud, which is whether you are the same person in the storm as you are in the sunshine. Research published in behavioral psychology journals has shown that women consistently score higher than men on measures of emotional attunement. This means women are, on average, more skilled at reading microexpressions, tonal shifts, and behavioral inconsistencies than most men realize. When a man says everything is fine while his body language, tone, and energy say the opposite, she notices. When a man claims to be confident, but seeks her validation at every turn, she notices. And when a man's behavior changes the moment she becomes less available, she notices that too. This is not magic. It is emotional intelligence operating at a high level, and understanding it is the first step to showing up in a way that commands genuine respect and sustained attraction. One of the most misunderstood dynamics in relationships is what happens when a woman creates space. Men tend to interpret space as rejection, as a sign that something has gone wrong, that she is losing interest, that he needs to act fast before she disappears. But in many cases, space is not a rejection. It is a test of security. She is not necessarily withdrawing because she wants to leave. She is stepping back to see if you will hold your ground or if you will crumble. A man who fills that space with anxiety, with excessive reaching out, with visible desperation, has failed not because he cared, but because his care came packaged with insecurity. A man who holds his ground, who continues living his life with purpose and confidence, who does not make her distance the center of his universe, communicates something profoundly powerful. He communicates that he values her, but that he does not need her to feel whole. That distinction, the difference between wanting someone and needing someone, is the heartbeat of long-term attraction. Needing someone places an invisible weight on them. It makes every interaction feel loaded with expectation. It transforms what should be a joyful connection into a responsibility. And women, who are often socially conditioned to be caretakers, will sometimes stay in that dynamic out of guilt or habit, but they will rarely thrive in it. They will slowly lose the passion they once felt, not because of anything dramatic, but because the relationship stopped feeling like a place where two whole people came together and started feeling like a place where one person came to be completed. The men who consistently maintain attraction over the long term share a specific set of qualities that have very little to do with looks, status, or money, even though those things can open doors. What they share is an unwavering sense of personal identity. They have interests, goals, and opinions that exist entirely independently of the woman they are with. They are not endlessly agreeable. They push back when they disagree. They have standards they actually uphold. They do not cancel their plans the moment she becomes available, not because they are playing games, but because their life has genuine structure and meaning. And ironically, this independence is precisely what makes a woman want to be around them more. You cannot chase something that is standing still waiting for you. You can only be drawn to something that has its own energy and direction. There is a concept in psychology called differentiation, and it is one of the most important ideas when it comes to understanding healthy relationships. Calm. Differentiation refers to a person's ability to maintain their own identity and emotional stability while simultaneously remaining emotionally close to another person. Couples with high differentiation tend to have better communication, more genuine intimacy, and stronger long-term satisfaction. Couples with low differentiation often get caught in cycles of emotional fusion, where both people's moods, self-worth, and sense of stability become completely dependent on the other. Learning to stay connected to yourself while being emotionally present with someone else is one of the most attractive things a man can do, and one of the hardest. Now, let us talk about communication, because this is where things get particularly interesting. Most men believe that communication is about saying the right thing at the right time. And while words matter, what women are actually responding to most deeply is not the content of what you say, but the emotional energy underneath it. Two men can say the exact same sentence, and one of them will seem confident and grounded, while the other seems anxious and uncertain. Because the words are the same, but the emotional state driving them is completely different. Women pick up on this. They always have. It is why a man can say all the right things and still make a woman feel uneasy, while another man with far less perfect phrasing can make her feel seen, calm, and genuinely connected. The Gottman Institute, one of the most respected bodies of relationship research in the world, has spent decades studying couples and what makes relationships succeed or fail. Their findings are consistently clear. The quality of emotional attunement between partners is a far more reliable predictor of relationship satisfaction than compatibility of interests, financial stability, or physical attraction. Men who learn to truly listen, Not just wait for their turn to speak, not just fix and solve, but actually hold space for what their partner is experiencing without becoming defensive or dismissive. Those men reported dramatically stronger and more satisfying relationships. This is not about becoming soft. It is about becoming real.